days, or hours or days.
Se alteran con cambios bruscos hacia una total oscuridad donde dos focos potentes con gran poder calórico son aplicados a muy corta distancia de tu rostro y cráneo.
This is alternated with sudden changes to darkness, and then with two source lights, like spotlights, with very hot sources of light are applied to your face and your skull at a very short distance.
Dentro de esta estrategia se realizaban los interrogatorios que pueden iniciarse con varios oficiales actuando simultáneamente.
Within this strategy, the interrogations took place before the presence of several officials that acted simultaneously.
Y aplicando diferentes combinaciones se extendía por horas o días.
And they would intervene in different combinations, extending this process for hours or days.
Desnudo, en las secciones me aplicaban varias técnicas conjuntas por periodo de hora. Tenía que enfrentar 6 o 8 oficiales.
I was naked, and in these sessions they would apply several of these techniques all together. For periods of hours, I had to confront 6 or 8 officers.
Generalmente en los ciclos que duran días, durante las primeras 48 horas, más o menos, no recibes alimento ni agua.
Generally, in these cycles that would last days, during the first 48 hours, more or less, one would not receive any food or water.
Este proceso se repetía una y otra vez al que se le van agregando otras técnicas de violenta agresión psicoemocional.
This process would repeat itself one and another time, and upon that they added other techniques of violent aggression of a psycho-emotional nature.
Cuando se tortura a los detenidos políticos, se intenta no dejar huellas físicas. Si bien el tradicional método de la brutalidad cruenta en ciertas medidas también fue aplicado, pero lo hicieron en general con individuos que fueron fusilados o masacrados para desaparecer el rastro.
When they tortured those who were politically detained in the centers, their intent was not to leave any physical marks. Even though the traditional method of savage brutality to some measure was also applied, but that was done on individuals that were later executed or massacred so that no trace was left of them.
El juicio. Enfrenté varias etapas de esta técnica conviviendo con detenidos que sufrieron hasta el final. Sentenciado a muerte.
The judgment. I confronted several stages of this technique, living with other prisoners that suffered it till the very end.
Sentenciado a muerte. En la seguridad del Estado éramos sacados siempre de madrugada y conducidos a un sitio en las afueras de la ciudad.
One was sentenced to death under security. We were taken outside in a dawn and taken to outside the city.
Bajo la amenaza y la intimidación se prepara la ejecución. De pie frente a las luces de los vehículos y del pelotón de fusilamiento, escuchaba la voz de mando y la orden de fuego.
Under threat and intimidation, one was prepared to be executed. Standing in front of lights of different vehicles and before the firing squad, one would hear the command to shoot and one would see.
No, wait. Veías y oías los fogonazos y el estampido de los fusiles que te apuntaban, pero eran balas de salva, el llamado fusilamiento en seco.
One would see the firing and would hear the sound of rifles that were aimed at us, but they were blanks and they were mock executions by a firing squad.
Si no confiesas, volvías para la seguridad y seguías sometido a tortura por semanas o meses.
If one didn't confess, one would return to state security and was subject to further torture for weeks or months.
La culpabilidad consistía en el posible o real apresamiento de tus padres, hijos o esposas por no querer cooperar.
The culpability consisted of the possible or real imprisonment of relatives like parents or children or a wife for not wanting to cooperate.
Los familiares eran conducidos hasta los mismos interrogatorios para darte un golpe psicoemocional.
Relatives were brought to the very interrogation rooms so that one would suffer a psycho-emotional strike.
Mi padre, José Rodríguez Trueba, fue detenido y llevado a mi interrogatorio y después también condenado a 1 año de prisión porque él tenía que saber a lo que yo me dedicaba.
My father, José Rodríguez Trueba, was detained and taken to my own interrogation, and then he was sentenced to 1 year in prison because he had to know what Amado was doing, what he was doing.
Otro de los métodos era la amenaza y el empleo de inyecciones de pentotal, o llamado suero de la verdad.
Another method was the threat and the use of pentotal injections. Pentotal is also known as the blood or I'm not sure what
Suero de la verdad, no me parece.
suero de la verdad.
Okay. La expectativa de su empleo es crear cierto estado mental que facilita romper la resistencia del detenido a brindar información.
The expectation was that by its use, one would be in such a mental state that would break the prisoner's resistance and would provide the required information.
Las prisiones son verdaderos centros de ensañamiento y experimentación donde la estrategia es el cambio constante en las condiciones que te torturan.
Prisons are true centers of cruelty and experimentation, where the strategy is to change constantly the conditions under which one is tortured, to force
renunciar a tu posición.
one's position,
Okay.
to renounce one's position.
Las golpizas ocurrían en todo momento y lugar. La celda de castigo desprovista de toda condición humana, donde además del hambre, las golpizas y la desnudez, enfrentabas en algunos casos el agua que hacían correr los carceleros por donde estabas.
The beatings occurred at any moment or place. The punishment cells lacked any condition, human condition, and there one experienced hunger and beatings and being naked, and while being naked one would confront these cases in which water would run